All right, so Dad's got a story now.
Okay, this story happened. Mark had to be probably 3 years old, which means Matt was probably 5 and a half. And we decided to go fishing one day. So we loaded up I had an old Jeep, and we loaded up on the Jeep, and there's a great big rock on the ranch that hangs out over the creek. And that's where we used to go. I'd pull the Jeep up to it because there was poison ivy all around the rock, poison ivy and poison oak. I'd pull the Jeep up to it, and then we'd crawl over the windshield and jump over on top of the rock, and then would fish in the creek. And it was a pretty good place. We could go down there and catch some perch and catch some bass.
It was advantageous because you could see them all too.
Yeah, you could see them because we were
towering
looking
above them.
Yeah, we were looking straight off down into
awesome.
the creek. The water there was always really, really clear, and probably about 4 or 5 feet deep in the deepest part.
And there was a tree that shaded the rock too, so you're in the shade. It's nice.
It was absolutely the perfect place to go fish if you had a Jeep. So we decided to go down there one day. Matt and Mark and I were going fishing, and we told Mom that we were headed down there. And again, Matt's 5 and a half, Mark's about 3. And so we got down there, laid the windshield of the Jeep down, and we were all crawling up on top of the Jeep to get onto the rock. And we realized that Mark did not have any shoes.
Typical me.
Typical Mark.
Never had shoes.
And that was not the only time Mark ever forgot his shoes when we went somewhere. Those are for future stories. So, I loaded the boys back up. We went back to the house. We got the shoes on Mark, and then we went back down there, pulled the Jeep up against the rock again, and we were crawling up on there. Matt got up on the rock, and then Mark had just gotten up on the rock, and he slipped. I guess I should have let him go barefoot, because with the shoes he slipped, fell back, landed on the hood of the Jeep, put a nice dent in the hood of the Jeep, and then bounced off the side of the Jeep and landed in the poison ivy.
Which we were trying to avoid.
So I told Matt to get back in the Jeep. I loaded Mark back up. We went back up to the house. I gave Mark a bath in cold water to get all the poison ivy off of him. And once again, back to the creek. We loaded everything up, went back down there, pulled the Jeep up into the rock again. We crawled back up onto the rock, and the sun was shining brightly. So we got up there, and I said, okay, boys, we've got to put sunscreen on, and then we'll catch these fish. So Matt held his hand out. I squirted the sunscreen, and he was doing his deal there. And Mark held his out like that, and I squirted the sunscreen in his, and he went right in his eye and started screaming and crying. And I said, Matt, the fishing trip has been officially canceled. We're going home. So that was a trip to remember from days gone by.
I thought it was going to take a while for us to think of 2 good stories today, or multiple stories, or even one, but we thought of these in a couple seconds. So we'll see y'all in a week for the next Tall Tale Tuesday. Tomorrow is Wine Wednesday, so wife might get a little whiny. See y'all mañana.